You write to her, but see only a gray reviewed status. You call her, but she doesn't answer. She goes on social media, likes other people's posts, but avoids you. In isolation is one of the most painful in interpersonal relationships. In such a situation, it's easy to fall into a whirlwind of emotions, panic, self-doubt, and then anger, and the desire to get her attention back at any cost. But stop yourself. Instead of letting these emotions destroy you, you can use this moment to rebuild yourself, to rise above, and even surprise her with who you will become. The person who ignores you is actually giving you a signal. Look at yourself. What is it about you that makes me do this? But instead of taking it as an insult, take it as a challenge. Ignoring can be the best incentive to change. In this text, you will learn why people ignore others and how it says more about them than about you. Crisis. What to do to regain control of the situation and make it see your true value. Remember, everything that worries you now will eventually become a trifle, but how you use this moment will determine who you become tomorrow. Why people ignore others. The psychology of indifference. When you are avoided, you feel invisible, as if you have been deprived of your right to exist. But why do people do this? To understand this, you need to look at the situation from a psychological point of view. 1. Manipulation of emotions. Ignoring is often used as a tool to control another person. It's a passive-aggressive way to make you doubt yourself and seek their attention, even if you've done nothing wrong. The manipulator tries to put himself in a position of power by forcing you to play by his rules. 2. Emotional fatigue. Sometimes people ignore you not because of malice, but because they are tired or overwhelmed by emotions. This can be an attempt to avoid conflict, protect themselves from unnecessary conversations, or conserve their own energy. This type of ignoring is often not personal, but it still hurts. 3. Indifference or loss of interest. One of the worst cases is when a person simply isn't interested in the relationship anymore. Indifference can manifest itself as an unwillingness to respond to messages or keep in touch. It is important not to impose and to maintain dignity. 4. Fear or self-doubt. Sometimes ignoring is the result of internal fear. A person may not know how to answer correctly, be afraid to say something unnecessary, or simply not be ready to be honest. In such cases, they choose silence as a defense mechanism. How to recognize the motives for ignoring. To understand why you are being ignored, pay attention to the following details. Duration. Ignoring you for a few hours or days may indicate that they are busy, but if it lasts for weeks, it's a signal of a problem. Context. What happened before you started to be ignored? Was there a conflict, or did you start to smother them with excessive attention? Repeatability. If this isn't the first time you've been ignored, you should consider whether there's a problem with the format of your relationship. What does this say about you? Being ignored doesn't always mean you're at fault. However, it is a great opportunity to ask yourself some important questions. Am I too dependent on her attention? Am I putting myself in the position of someone who is asking for attention? Do I really want to continue a relationship with someone who uses ignoring as a tool? Understanding the psychology of ignoring gives you power. Now you are not a victim, but an observer who can analyze the situation and make the right decisions. How to deal with emotions when you are ignored. Ignoring is a trigger that sets off a series of negative emotions in a person's mind: sadness, confusion, anger, and sometimes despair. These feelings are natural, but it's important to understand how to deal with them so that they don't ruin your life and your relationship with yourself. 1. Self-doubt. What is wrong with me? The first thought that arises in such a situation: I did something wrong. It's my fault. As a result, a person begins to look for flaws in themselves, exaggerate their mistakes, and feed the feeling of guilt. This is a trap. Remember, the behavior of another person is their choice, not your responsibility. You can't force someone to treat you the way you want, but you can change your perception of the situation. Practical exercise. Write down what you are feeling and why. Look at these emotions as an outsider. Are they rational? 2. Anger and the desire for revenge. Anger is a natural reaction to a situation where you are ignored. It is an attempt to protect yourself from pain. However, acting out of anger is the worst thing you can do. It won't bring the person back, but it will definitely make your situation worse. Instead, use the energy of anger for something useful. Exercise, working on your projects, studying. Try meditation or breathing practices to relieve inner tension. 3. Obsessive thoughts. Why is she doing this? When you are ignored, your brain starts looking for answers, creating dozens of scenarios. Is she offended? Has she found someone else? Does she just not want to communicate with me? These thoughts take up time and energy. The problem is that you don't know the real reason, and you may never know. You need to accept that as a fact. How to let go of thoughts. Set a time limit. If the person doesn't respond within a certain time, for example, 3 days, don't try to contact them again. Instead of focusing on their behavior, start focusing on your goals. 4. Fighting the addiction to other people's attention. Ignoring hurts the most when you depend on another person's approval or attention. This can be a sign of emotional dependency. What to do? Learn to value yourself regardless of other people's opinions. Develop your self-confidence through self-realization. New hobbies, sports, studying. 5. Stoic approach. Acceptance of the situation. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control the actions of other people, but we can control our reaction to them. If she ignores you, that's her choice, and it shouldn't affect your dignity or self-esteem. Stoic exercise. Every time you feel hurt by being ignored, ask yourself, can I change it? If not, why should I care?